What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Everything Paranormal Show with your hosts, Josh Morris and Stacey Talich. And joining us, we have a very special guest, Josh from Southern Afterlife. Josh, thanks for joining us tonight, brother.
Thank you for having me.
No, man, guys, Josh has been out in the field doing just, I don't know, it's like a hybrid of like urban exploration and ghost hunting. So lots of cool stuff, guys. If you have not subscribed to his channel, Southern Afterlife, go do that. I'm telling you, it's so worth it. Josh, I love seeing your adventures, and of course, you have some buddies that you also go shoot with sometimes. But it's so fun to watch you out there and to see you enjoying what you do, getting a little scared at times, getting in some crazy situations. So tonight, folks, we're going to dive into a little bit of that, and hopefully we're going to get to know Josh a little bit on another level. So, Josh, first of all, how did you get involved into paranormal?
Well, I had a lot of experiences as a child, and it really it scared me at first because I didn't really understand what was going on. And props to my mom for always having my back and stuff because my dad really didn't believe me. We always had there's always a skeptic in the family, and it was my dad. So the only person I could talk to really was my mom. And through research and stuff like that, I started understanding more and started being less afraid and more curious. And it pretty much just sent me full sail into the field. And I started recording my adventures, and it's pretty interesting.
Awesome. And so, where do you mainly like to do your exploration? Do you go across different parts of the country? Did you start out anywhere?
I started off mostly in Florida because that's pretty much where I'm from, down in Southwest Florida. And I filmed hundreds of locations all throughout Florida because it was pretty close.
Nice.
And now I moved to Tennessee and I'm starting to branch out here. I'm more central, but I pretty much just go wherever the opportunity comes up. I've been to Colorado, I've been to Kansas, I've been to Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin. I've explored, investigated, and filmed in numerous states in the U.S.
Yeah. And I just want to say, too, Terry Lynn's in the chat. Terry Lynn, that's my wife. So thanks for joining.
Hey.
So she's in the chat. And so, all right. So I want to get into, obviously you've gone to some of these different locations throughout there. So I want to dive right into what's one of the scariest or most memorable location that pops out in your head.
The old Belle Glade prison in Florida, and it's abandoned, and inmates escaped, and in order to update security, they would have had to basically demolish the prison and rebuild it, so they left it. Well, I was in the it's almost like a solitary area where the cells are really tight, and you had 4 cells on each side, and then like an octagon-shaped pod in the middle. Well, we were doing an EVP session in one of the rooms with the Echo Box, I believe, and I stepped outside and shined my light, and then there was this demonic-looking child standing on the other side of the octagon, staring at me through the window.
What?
You got to think of a prison, and with
Yeah.
it being abandoned, the church had satanic spray paint all inside of it, and there was, candles on the ground and evidence of rituals and stuff. So there's been things conjured on these grounds. Not to mention the violence and the death and everything that's brought this energy in.
So
So that was,
you saw this child's face looking at you through one of the door windows?
yeah. It was textbook black-eyed children just sitting there staring at me. And what's a child doing in a prison? Oftentimes these demonic entities will disguise themselves as children to gain your trust, pretty much. And
Yeah,
this was no child.
it's cool. It's cool you bring up Black Eyed Children. I actually did a episode. It's been a while now, but I actually did an episode on Black Eyed Children. It's something not a lot of people talk about, but it is out there, and a lot of people do come across that phenomenon and have documented photos and things like that. So that's pretty cool. So you got to experience seeing that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, so you saw this ghost child looking at you and looking through the window. Like, I mean, what happened after that? Like, how did that make? Like, did you run, or I mean, like, what did you do at that point?
Well, yeah, I grabbed my my filming light because I had it all set up on a tripod, for the session. So I grabbed my filming light and I take off running down the hallway, and it went into one of the cells. And when I went in the cell, there was nothing there. And it was so bizarre because it looked clear as day, like a child. And I had a wide angle lens on the camera, so of course I didn't catch it because it was quite a ways away.
Uh,
But I
yeah,
tried enhancing it and everything, and you can't see it.
and sometimes it's really difficult to like actually cap. People don't understand like there's so many visuals that we see, even psycho manifestations. It's really hard to capture things visually on video evidence. So Terry Lynn said made sure that she's on normal speed this time. So by the way, yeah, like on the last episode, she kept telling me, she kept messaging me during the show. She said you sound drunk, and it's funny because she somehow bumped the speed when she was watching the live show. She bumped the speed to 0.75.
Uh,
So, and when you listen to me just a hair slow, I sound drunk. So I'm like, hey guys, this is like crazy, man. Like, so, but anyways, but yeah, I just want to explain that comment that she threw in there. Okay, so I want to go from scariest moment to funniest moment. So sometimes when you're out doing investigations, sometimes funny things happen. Is there something that stands out in your mind over the many places that you've gone to?
yes. The see, I ha let me think about this for a second. I have had a local cemetery that I would frequent. I would go there to test out my equipment, and after a while, like you become friends in a sense with the spirits that are there that often communicate with you. Like they have personalities. Their energy is transferred and never depleted. So basically, your personality passes on to your spirit world. And these people, they're hilarious. Like they would crack jokes and stuff, and it'd be a good time. And this particular family, it was a husband and wife, the Sharps, at this cemetery. And I could set my devices on their bench, and they would just sit there and have a conversation with me and just joke about things and stuff. And I was filming with my brother, and they were ragging on him, and it was pretty funny.
Nice. Now, speaking of equipment, one thing I have noticed here lately, and I do want to give people a chance to explain. So I'm going to segue into this. And that is one, folks, if you're watching, me and Josh got an opportunity to film together recently. So you'll have to keep an eye out for that. Can't go into too much more detail about that. But one of the things that I learned when I filmed with him and even watching some of his videos is that he is starting to build his own equipment. There's a lot of things that he custom builds and builds himself. So I wanted to talk about that, Josh. I mean, what got you into making some of your own equipment?
Well, I mean, Bill Chappell, I've talked to him a few times, and it seemed like he was slowing down. He told me, he retired. He's working out of his barn now, and like everyone's waiting so long for their devices basically because it's just him. And I thought, it's such an unexplored market. So I started dabbling in like buying door alarms and turning them into REM pods and stuff, like doing that kind of thing for a little bit. And then I went into getting 3D printers and I started building my own cases. And from there, I learned programming. So I actually programmed my own boards and everything to create REM pods and light sensors and motion sensors and all kinds of stuff. And I'm building the custom cases for those as well. So it's 100% my design. And
Nice.
I'm no longer hacking devices and creating things out of them.
Right. Now,
So
is this something that you do for other people or just yourself?
um, for a while, I have a website. It's southernafterlife.com. And I do build custom devices for people. And I mean, right now I'm about to start traveling a lot, so it would be difficult to do that. But basically, if you sign up for the newsletter I have on there, you put your email in, you'll be notified when new devices come out. So I will be taking custom orders, but I'm not currently.
Right. Awesome. No, I mean, I think it's really cool. I mean, like when you broke, like when you were talking about like REM pod and stuff, and you were talking about was it the dimension portal, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So when you were talking about that stuff when we were filming together, what's cool about that's got like a temperature on there and things like that. So it's not just like your traditional guitar amp pedal style spirit box filter type thing. He's, Josh is adding some stuff to it. But when he started breaking out his own, I'm like, where did you get this stuff? And he's like, yeah, I make it. It's like, I was like, whoa, that's cool. I like that. That's so
yeah.
cool.
The dimension portal incorporates an EM pump and an ambient temperature sensor.
Yes.
So, a lot of times the hardest thing to portray to your audience is the feelings that you're getting, and temperature being one of them. So when you're in the field and you say, "Yeah, it just got really cold in here," most times we don't have a way to actually show people that it's getting cold in there. So
Right.
with the ambient temperature readout on the box, when the temperature drops, it's live and it shows you that it's dropping.
Yeah. And I like that you use like big numbers versus just some few little lights or dots or something. I mean, it's really easy to read on camera and stuff for people. They can clearly see that. And because that's something I was frustrated with some of the equipment, that you look at was sometimes they were hard to read, and especially when you're in the dark, you just see lights
Yep.
blinking. You're like, what the hell? And even though we kind of know what's going on, but especially when it's a new piece of equipment, you're like, well, what is it actually telling me? So I like
Right.
when things are clear and big. So extra points for that.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to ask you something. So a lot of times, because you're in social media, right? You do the YouTube and stuff, and you probably share a lot of things with people. Um, and especially when you start gaining like a regular audience, right? So I want to ask you, what's something that most people don't know about you? What's something that people might be surprised to learn about you?
Well, let's see. One big thing is this is my full time. I have no other work. I used to run an electrical business, and I retired from the electrical business, and now I'm full time, you know, paranormal investigating, building equipment, and I have a lot of branches into the Southern Afterlife brand, and I'm just trying to make it something. But one of the biggest things is, I'm a father of an autistic child,
Okay.
so
And
that's something that's not well known.
yeah. No, I mean that's awesome though. I mean, and it's good to share that with people, and that's why I always ask that question, because sometimes we tend to put we share quite a bit of stuff out there to the public, but sometimes there's those little facts about us that sometimes we maybe either hold back or something. So I like to dig a little deep on that one and be like, hey, and sometimes like it's like, well, I mean, I'm kind of an Elvis fan or something, so
Right.
things like that. Sometimes people may not always know that about somebody like myself or Stacey or other people. So, but yeah, I mean that's awesome, and in any time that you have a child like with those special abilities, that's awesome though, because I think that children born differently than us sometimes have special abilities, not just like a
Sure.
handicap, but like special abilities.
Well,
So
the craziest thing I learned was, back when I was a kid, there was no name for anything.
right,
It was, oh, you're just being a kid. And as I see him face these challenges, I see what I went through as a younger person. And it's like we have such a tight bond, and it's really cool.
right. No, I mean that's awesome. So Stacy, I know like normally I do a lot of interviews with the one-on-one, And this is the kind of the first time we've had a guest on while me and him both have co-hosts. So I didn't want to like hog all the question time, but certainly I want to make sure if you have any questions, anything, make sure you interject anything as well.
Yeah, well, I'm interested in Josh's background. I mean, even from like family legacy. I don't know what your ethnic background is, but there's a strong sense that you've got a lot of spiritualism in your family history. You said your father was kind of a skeptic, but something tells me that there's a lot of it going on in your family that goes back a long way, and I just can't nail down exactly where it is on your thing. So I don't know if you could elaborate what your background is, because I think that's really the meat of why you're doing what you're doing now. It's a projection of that.
My background does have deep spiritualism. Um, on my father's side, so I'm French Canadian and Irish. On my mom's side, I'm French Canadian and Blackfoot Indian.
Mm.
So, my native roots really pushed my spiritual side, I guess you could say, because I've had a few psychics and stuff tell me that I have a white aura, which is protection, and I really think that the spirits guide me throughout my investigations and stuff. That's one of the big reasons why I don't ever get full on attacked. Like things will happen around me and stuff, but nothing will actually come at me like it has other people. So I really think that the native blood in me is what ties me to my spiritual grounding.
Well, I watched a bunch of your videos this afternoon with both you and John, and from the looks of things, to me, I don't can't speak for you on this, but from the looks, you're like the magnet that brings the cool stuff into the video, brings the cool stuff onto the thing. Whenever it's just John doing his thing, he tries to sensationalize it some, but it's really not as cool as like when you're there too. So stuff starts to really happen whenever you're around, and I think you're the magnet that actually makes it happen. And I didn't really know for sure until we started talking today, and I'm like, yeah, he's the magnet that's making it all work. But getting your background actually makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Given what I've seen in videos today, it really a full picture of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I do tend to stir up a lot of energies and activity when I come around, and I mean, I have had attachments before, and whenever you go to these places, you leave a piece of you and you take a piece of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe, I've been all over the country and stuff, to all these different locations, and I've experienced all these different energies. So in a way, I am like a battery, I guess you could say. I've picked up pieces all over the place, and it's all stored. So I mean, I do cleansings and rid myself of negative energies and stuff. But as far as like I don't know, I'm just like a pot with all these different balls of energy in it. So I can see why things would definitely be, more apt to show themselves or act out when I'm around.
Yeah, and I think Stacy brings up a good point too, because sometimes in teams, like when you have a team, and a lot of times like you and John and Brian film together, or now even sometimes me, you, and but in teams there's those dynamics, and everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, or even just brings different strengths. And I think Stacy's picking up on that strength of yours for sure. That's one of your strengths that you bring to that team whenever you guys film together. Is you seem to be that, again, that paranormal magnet, and we seem to have that when we have that. That's another reason why I like sometimes taking my wife with me on investigations, because she's like that freaking magnet. Like she draws paranormal to us all the time. So it's
Yeah.
like, I like taking her on, and hopefully she's coming with me to film this weekend. So, but yes, there's but that's what I was trying to point out to people that are watching. That's what Stacey's kind of talking about when he's talking about Josh and his magnetism for paranormal, and sometimes too, it's just a little bit of everything, like background and just a natural pull of gravitas or something or whatever, gravity well. Anyway, Stacey, do you want to wrap up on anything on that subject as well, or?
That was the itch that I was trying to get at, but I was going to wait till like the very end to see, we got through all of the other questions first. But yeah, the main thrust is that I think you've got a very, very powerful, whether it's protecting guide or whether it's just your lineage that's working with you, that it's, great things are happening because this is what you're supposed to be doing. And clearly you fell into it and just followed the path that was laid before you. And I think that's awesome, really.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And I got to say, too, just to speak on Josh's behalf, like meeting him in person, like behind the scenes, so to speak, off camera when we went to go film together, like he really is a good, genuine guy. We got along that night, I think, just like we were longtime friends. It was weird. We just talked and got along once we kind of knew each other's, a little bit of rhythm and stuff. But, but I just wanted to put that out to everybody that, look, it's not just a on-camera thing. Like Josh is straight up just how he is, man. He's a cool dude. So, all right. So I'm gonna get into a couple fun questions since we're getting into that. Here's one of the questions I like to ask everybody, and that is, we all know that for the most part, ghosts, when you see a ghost, they tend to have clothes on. For whatever, we've had this debate about naked ghosts, so we're not going to go there. We really never see a naked ghost, to be honest with you. We might just see color. But in any case, if you end up being spotted as a ghost someday, what ghost outfit would you want to be wearing?
Well, I think like a colonial outfit would be cool. like a 3-point hat. I don't know, just like George Washington style. I think it'd be really neat. Like, I like the old brass buttons and just they were so snazzy with like their locks of hair and everything. I think it'd be really neat just to go around one day in that kind of attire.
Right.
So I think if I were to pick a ghost outfit, it would be that.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. I think most likely I'm probably gonna just end up being in a black shirt and shorts or something. That seems to be what I always wear. So I mean, I think I'm probably gonna end up being. That's gonna be what I did that too. Let's see, Terlin. She did say, "Oh, Josh, sorry about that night. Laugh out loud. I was a bit livid. I'm not crazy. I promise." Well, maybe a little. That's what she said. So,
that's all right.
No, it was just that night. Oh, yeah. She's talking about that night. Yeah, the filming night. That's what she's talking about. That night. Yeah. She's like, I was a little bit livid. She's like, I'm not crazy. I promise. Yeah, maybe a little. Yeah, no, that was understandable. My wife, she's very concerned about our safety all the time, and we were filming in a location that had absolutely no signal
for hours,
and we had spent quite a bit of time filming. We just kind of decided to push through and not take another break and go back out, to drive down the road and go and get a signal and check in with our family. So we pushed on and filmed till almost 4 a.m. And we had challenges, and this was part of the Para X storyline that with our we had to do those challenges for the episode, and so we just kept pressing, and we kind of pushed it a little too late. So my wife was freaking out, hadn't heard from us in forever. So of course, as soon as I got back in the signal, she was like, "What the hell?" and jumped my butt, but that's okay. So she was right. It was all out of love.
Yeah.
So she said she's not crazy. She promises. So that's what I was trying to remember. I didn't realize what that comment was exactly about. but now I get it. Now I know what she was saying. So that's what she was saying sorry about. So,
Well, I completely understand. I mean, my wife was worried too. I mean, we went, 4 or 5 hours with no contact, at
yeah.
at a place where things could happen.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I get it.
And you guys will have to check out that episode. It'll be coming out probably sometime in June, but you'll have to check it out. I think it was a really good episode. I have barely had a chance to watch the footage, but I've seen some of it, and it's looking good. I can't go into details, but
Yeah,
I know
it's worth it.
yeah, there's some good stuff in there for sure. Absolutely. Uh, yeah. God, I can't wait. Can't wait. Just talking a little bit about it gets me excited. But all right, so let's get back to some more questions and stuff about Josh. All right, so um, how about dream location? That's a good one. Where would you like? Is there a certain dream location that you would love to just get? Like maybe a bucket list investigation location.
It would have to be the island of death in Italy, where
Okay,
they would send all the plague victims, and there's still remnants of structures there and stuff. And
right.
it's very protected. Like you have to pay someone to bring you over there on the boat, and not many people will do it. But I think that would be top notch, amazing.
Lakeshore Paranormal popped in, said, "Hey guys, hey Josh,
Hey, Lakeshore.
hey what's up? I'm Josh too. Hi Josh Rose, sweet pea of four leaf clover, sweet sweet pea four leaf clover. Hi everyone
Hey,
on the panel. It was good to see you. I'm glad you guys popped in. See, now everybody's gonna start. People always start showing up a little later. I might, if I start the show at 10 though, then people won't show up till like 11 probably. But no, we always start getting people showing up around this time, so that's cool. Glad you guys can make it in there. So again, just to remind you guys in chat that if you have any questions that you want to ask Josh, we did ask some really cool questions. So go back and watch the beginning later on. Not right now, but go back and watch the beginning of this later on for those of you just joining us. Because I'm telling you, it was worth it. We had some really good questions.
yeah.
So yeah, the Island of Death. I mean, that's really cool. I personally don't have a specific location in mind. There's a lot I would love to go to, but I just want to actually get to Europe. I would love to travel around different parts of Europe, Germany, some of the castles, England, things like that. There's so many places in Europe. I would love to do just an awesome European tour of just investigations. That would be amazing. Again, no offense to the United States. There's a ton of locations here, and I would definitely want to get to those too. But as far as just for the age of how far back on some of this stuff goes, it's like I would love to go back over to there because there's a lot more Middle Ages and things like that, and I've got some connection to that that time period. So I would love to go back and do some of that. So I think that would be great for a dream location in that
Yeah,
sense.
like Dracula's castle. Like that would
Yeah,
be awesome.
yeah. Any castle I think would be over there. I don't even care if it's just some like dude's castle from like even just like 80 years ago. It's a
Yeah,
regular,
right.
I don't care if it's like a modern castle. Like some of their stuff over there is so cool. Uh, so all right, and so we're talking about that was future. I want to ask you a hypothetical question, and this one I love to ask each and every one of my guests, and that is if you could go back in time for one day as a ghost. Now you can't interact, you can't change history. You just can go back and observe a day in time. When would it be and why?
Well, family is everything to me, and I've lost one set of grandparents to cancer. So I mean, I was really close to my papa, and he was a woodworker, and we'd go down in the basement up north, and we would build toys together and stuff, and he had all these patents and everything. I think I would like to go back in time and just observe us two together again, back in that dusty old basement with his bandsaw just making little cars and stuff. And over time, memories tend to fade until we get moments like this where we can relive that through our thoughts. But I think it would be awesome to actually see it.
See, folks, how could you not love a guy like this? I mean, look, I've had a ton of guests on here, and almost every single one of them said that they would want to go back and see like Tesla or the pyramids or Jesus Christ and things like this. And Josh is talking about a moment in time, just going back for like his grandfather, right? So, I mean, how cool is that, folks? I mean, how humble and sweet is that? I love that. That's an amazing answer. One of the best I've heard. I've just got to say that. So,
I got something to add on that too. The moment you said, you lost both your grandparents to cancer, literally at that beat when you said that, for one frame, I saw a face over your shoulder. It looked like it was photobombing you.
Oh
That
yeah.
with a
really,
smile and everything. It's like I want to rewind the tape frame by frame to see what was there because I could have sworn that's what I saw. It was just for one, microsecond frame. That was right there, right when you said that.
wow,
Yeah, it's probably my papa. He comes and visits every now and
that's so cool.
He photobombed you at that point.
then.
So
Now I'm gonna have to go back. So, folks, if anybody can go back and see if there's that moment, I definitely want to go back and look later on replay. You probably have to wait though because it takes a little bit for the replay to actually do the HD version.
Yeah,
But Lakeshore Paranormal says, question to Southern Afterlife: have you ever seen a full-bodied apparition?
I have. It was at the Coruscant or Coruscant. I don't know. Everybody says it different. It was a state park in Estero, Florida. And I was just actually talking to someone about this today. So there's a campground there. So I stayed at the campground, and after the park closed and stuff, I walked over to the historical site, and I'm walking the trails. And this was a religious community that believed in an inner earth. So it's a really bizarre thing. If you want more on them, just Google Coruscant Unity, and it you'll get a lot of information on it. But pretty much it was run by women, and they had a man as their front person because back in the day, like women weren't really heard, so they had this guy that would stand up and basically the puppet of the women. So they were running everything behind the scenes, and he was the voice. But in the planetary court, it was this building where all the important women lived. So I went there first, and I'm filming around there, and I hear footsteps walking down there. It's like a crushed shell pathway. So for a brief second, I pan the camera, and with my eye and with the camera, I can see a woman in a black Victorian style dress walking the pathways,
Hmm.
and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that sounds cool because seeing and the one thing I definitely want to address for other people too, seeing a full-bodied apparition, it's very rare. I mean, and I only seen one in my whole life. I might like me personally. So seeing that's a rare treat. Rare treat. Uh, so yeah, Sweet Pea said, "Wow, it's awesome." So yes, uh, but all right. So we talked about kind of the future and the past and things like that. I do want to give you a chance to. I'm going to let you know a little bit, give you a chance to kind of talk a little bit about some of the stuff you got coming up a little later in the show right now. But what? I guess was there ever a point at which you were like, are you full on like massive believer? Was you like on the fence at some point? I mean, what tipped the scale for you to go from that, or was you always a believer?
Well, when I was younger, I mean, my whole background is based off my childhood experiences. So the first time I ever saw an actual full-body apparition was my great-grandmother, and I didn't know who she was. I've never met her. She was passed on before I was born. And there was this woman in the corner of my room sitting down with her hands around her knees, and it looked like she was crying. So I told my mom about it, and she showed me a picture, and it was actually my great grandmother. I pointed her out right away.
Nice.
So yeah. So from there, it's like things just escalated for a while, and then I started to think, well, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just seeing things, or I'm tired, or something like that. So I started shutting some of that, some of those experiences. I started shutting out. Like we all have a filter, and that's why children are more apt to see spirits and stuff, because as we grow, we're like, yeah, no, that's not real. So that started happening to me, and then when I decided to actually get out in the field and investigate, like the experiences brought it all back. So there was a point in time where I was more skeptic than believer, I guess you could say. And it was all because, outside influences. It wasn't me. It was like, you can't really tell people that you see spirits, openly unless it comes up in conversation, because you're just labeled as crazy.
Right.
So, there was a point in time where I didn't talk about it and I didn't use my abilities. And if you don't use something, it goes away. So there was that point in time where I was like, well, maybe it's just me, maybe it's my brain. And then, sure enough, I started getting back into the field. Well, like maybe it's not me.
Right.
And all the experiences, I'm a diehard believer now.
Right. Was there that moment though on that journey? Because I know when my moment was, but when was there that moment when you were like right there and you're just like, I'm like, because there's that rational part when you're like, maybe it was like your childhood stuff and you're kind of going, I was younger, maybe my brain wasn't right or whatever. And, but then there's that moment that there's that certain point that either a piece of evidence or an experience. What was it that just nudged you over to say, okay, paranormal's real or the afterlife's real?
All right, so when I was in electrical school, my we had finals this night, and my nana, she didn't tell anybody she had lung cancer. She didn't want anybody, feeling sorry for her or going making trips up north and stuff. Now she lives in Rhode Island, or lived in Rhode Island, and I lived in Florida. So the day the hospital called, my parents went up there, and it was the next day where she passed. Well, I was actually in school taking a final when she passed, and I'm sitting in the seat just focusing on my work, and all of a sudden a hand touched my shoulder. There was nobody there, and it wasn't a cold feeling. It was a warm, calming feeling, like it's okay. And I regretted not bringing my daughter up to meet her. I brought my son up to meet her when he was born, and I had a lot of like, internal regrets and stuff. And at that moment, it was like it was all gone. I mean, we can speak to loved ones with our thoughts, basically.
Yeah.
So, I apologize for everything and not calling as much as I should. And, just like all the things that we struggle with. And everything was just okay after that. And about 15, 20 minutes later, my mom called and said Nana passed. And I told her, I said, I know. And that was what really proved the afterlife was there, was that whole experience of her coming to visit me. And, like, I'm getting chills thinking about it, but I'm really grateful she did. And it really proved to me that there is an afterlife.
Yeah. No, I mean that's awesome. That's a good story too. And I've heard similar experiences where people have been visited by their loved ones and then they get the notification. So, but I love the fact that you bring something up that it's almost like I always call it a little bit of dream logic. So like sometimes, and I'll get to Lucretia here in just a second. But it's like kind of like in that dream when you're having a dream, and then it's like all the rules of that dream. Like you just know, like nobody's telling you all that stuff. You just kind of like know the rules, know all that stuff. So it's very similar to what you're talking about. How this a touch and a feeling, and it's like there's that instant communication and exchange of thoughts between spirits and stuff, and you just know, and you know all those things. So it's really cool that you were able to verbalize that to people. So Lucretia Knight says, hi, I have spirits in my house that have been with me for years. They follow. So I guess Lucretia, I'm not sure if it's a question or just a statement, but so you have spirits that's been with you for years and they follow you around, I'm assuming. So you know, and that can be true too. They could be spirit guides, guardians, unless they're following around like tormenting you.
Right.
Right. So but
we all have spirits that follow us, you know, whether it's like you said, you know, your guides, your spiritual guides, or your protectors, your guardians. But it's really important to set your boundaries. And that's, if there's one piece of advice I can give you, is to set your boundaries with those spirits. You know, you have to stand up for yourself, whether they're good or bad. They need to know what you're okay with and what you're not okay with.
yeah, I mean, it's absolutely good points. And Lucretia, not to take anything away from Josh, Josh is absolutely right. But we do a show every Thursday night here at this time. You're always welcome to come here, and we talk a lot about these rules. We talk about how to handle things. We have guests on here like Josh, who also offer his insight from being out in the field and dealing with these things. Because the one thing is too is there's no real like expert right out there, but what you do get is people like myself and Stacey and Josh and other folks out there that's been out there dealing with it, learning from it and having experiences. Because again, as you experience things through repetition, you start learning patterns, you start learning how those things interact, or things that they can and can't do, or you just learn from being around it all the time. And that's what gives us that edge to try to help other people and things that we've learned and gathered over the years, like a tumbleweed. So,
Right.
But so Josh, do you have a book? Did you write a book?
I did not write a book.
Are you going to write a book? Are you gonna
Yeah.
write a book or what?
I'm really thinking about it. I mean, I definitely have tons of background and enough to put together an interesting story.
Yes.
But
Well, we all have books. I have a book. It's called My Paranormal, A Guide to the Spirit Realms, available on Amazon. Cheap plug. But, you know, hey, John, he's your buddy. He just got a book, right? So, and I know our friend Bob, he's releasing a book right now, which I'm surprised he's not in the chat, but he's been having some health issues here lately. I hope he's okay. But Josh, man, you got so many interesting stories, and we're gonna put a little pressure on you. Say you got to start that book. We want to hear some more in-depth stuff about your experiences and things like that. So I had to use that for a cheap plug, but to also tell you, hey, I want to see a book from you.
yeah, and it seems like all the cool dudes have a book now, so I guess I should put something together.
I think Stacey even wrote some stuff at one point. He's wrote a lot of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but Stacey, again, and this is going to be a chance for Stacey. Go ahead, let some people know what you got going on for your courses and things like that. I'm going to give us a little bit of chance. I want you guys to understand, for those of you out there, some of the stuff that Josh has got for you, Stacey, myself. You know, we want to give you guys that opportunity so you have more outlets to choose from. Stacey, what do you got for people?
I have courses on udemy.com. It's a e-learning site, you know, like the masterclass type websites that are out there. Udemy is actually doing it before masterclass. They figured out that the model was a good business model, so masterclass kicked in and decided to pirate it all. Anyway, I got several courses. I got 15 courses out there. On hoodoo and conjure, on remote viewing. If you don't know what remote viewing is, it's the military program initially called the Stargate Project that spawned movies and things after that. That had nothing to do with remote viewing, but I learned from the people who were in the program, the guy who ran the program, Major Ed Dames, and now I teach it myself on Udemy. It's essentially, if you want to be a psychic and you're a psychic as a rock, remote viewing is the way to go, because it's a paint by numbers method in order to get 80% of whatever it is that you're targeting, and you can target things and get things that blow the water out of Nostradamus. It's very, very specific, very accurate, and it's not easy. I'm not going to tell you it's easy, because nothing in this world worth anything is easy, but it's simple. It's a paint by numbers method.
Yeah. Yeah. And myself, the one thing is, let's see, I can show you guys here. I'll show you guys, this is the trailer for the Para Explorers. This is a show that I have. It's an original show on Paraflix. So, and by the way, guys, all the links. So, like, if you haven't subscribed to Josh, his link's is in the comments below. Stacey's got a link for Udemy down there. Of course, I've got links for my stuff as well. And of course, there's a promo code. If you guys don't have Paraflix, if you love paranormal stuff, you got to get Paraflix. It's like a couple bucks a month. And if you use Para Explorers 10, you'll get 10% off for 3 months. But again, that's down below. You can use that. But I'll show you guys. Here's the trailer.
Your team has been chosen. You must complete all of the tasks. I do not tolerate failure.
So there you guys go. That's the trailer for Para Explorers. And Josh is going to be in one of the episodes coming up. So, again, we can't go into the full disclosure of what happens, but we are tested with the rules. We have to perform rules, or we have to live up to the rules set forth by Para X. So you guys will be able to check that out. Yeah, the incinerator, great trailer. Thank you. And Terry Lynn says that incinerator room. Yeah, now just to let you guys know, and then this isn't to get you to go watch the episode, but I will say, out of almost all locations I've ever been to in my life, that incinerator room freaked me out. The minute I closed the door and I was fully in the dark, I was getting ready to turn on my flashlight so I could set up the tripod for my infrared. I have a Psionics camera that me and my wife have, and I got infrared. So, and again, I had to be there alone, by the way, not to spoil anything, but I had to be at the location alone. So there's nobody with me. I had to do everything myself. And as soon as I shut the door, I'm hearing like noises. And they're not coming from in the incinerator room. They're coming from outside, but they're coming from different levels, like down in the basement with me, up above on the floor 1. This is an old hospital. And I'm hearing just different noises and it was a lot. And it kept happening quite often. I did capture some on film, on audio and stuff, but anyways, it was freaky. There was a dark shadow in there. I caught 2 with the infrared. But anyways, guys, one of the most scariest rooms I had ever been in. I think it just really played on my paranoia, because it was just like it wasn't in the room, so I couldn't just turn on a light. But the minute I left, no more noises again. The hospital was quiet. It's the craziest thing. Craziest craziest amount of activity I've ever had in one little room like that. It just kept happening, and there's no like water, there's no there's no debunking it in that sense. But anyways, so I just wanted to show you guys the trailer for that. Josh, other than obviously being in one of the episodes coming in, Josh, what do you got going on that you want people to know? What's all the irons you got going on?
Well, we already talked about, the devices and stuff. Like this is the REM pod, the RAD, remote afterlife detector, and it's rechargeable, USB-C rechargeable. Not a lot of equipment that we have out in the field is actually rechargeable now. It's all batteries, and I'm tired of carrying batteries around. So I did that. I got a afterlife energizer is what I call it. It's basically an EM pump. It's all custom made. Everything's printed, programmed, everything by myself. Also, this is the dimension portal, and this is the temperature readout and the switch for the EM pump that's built into this as well. And it's a really amazing piece of equipment. And I'm not just saying that because I build them and sell them, but the responses that we get out of this box are amazing. So I got this stuff going on, and we just bought a camper. It's a 37-foot camper. 4 of us and 2 dogs are living in it full time. We sold our house and we're completely mobile now. So
Nice.
we are about to hit the road, and I will be vlogging our family adventures on top of filming paranormal content. So, if you guys want to see that stuff, make sure you subscribe to my channel for one, and make sure your notifications are on because I will be posting the new channel link for the family stuff soon.
Nice.
And
So
yeah,
it's
we're
gonna be like the van life kind of videos, right?
yeah, all of our experiences, right? Yep,
Nice.
everything will be documented. So our first stop is going to be like Stone Mountain, and we're going to be working our way to Florida and then back up pretty much for the first, I don't want to say season, but that's kind of how it feels, our first leg. We're going to be going down and back up and just showing the kids the world and having all these life experiences.
Yeah.
Because,
No,
we
that's
homeschool
awesome.
and stuff too, so it's like we're teaching the kids by being out there, seeing the St. Augustine Fort and the lighthouse, and teaching them the history
Been
as we
there.
walk through it. Yeah, so it's really awesome. But watch for that. Make sure your notifications are on because I will be posting that up soon.
Nice. I love that. And just wanted to say too, the Shape showed up here in the chat. So what's up, Shape? It's good to see you pop in here. He likes to pop in our lives every so often. So it's good to see you. And let's see. And Lakeshore, I guess they're talking about just saying hi to the Shape. Okay, so I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions or any comments. So cool. All right. But yes, I'm looking forward to that. I think that'd be cool, especially with like the RV van life type stuff. When you see people doing that, it's just fun to see other people enjoying life while I'm stuck doing like work stuff and living a miserable life. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
We're
you're never
working
stuck.
at, like, trust me, my wife and I, like, we get to travel though with like our son's tennis, and so like I'm just kidding, like, and we do paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It really is cool to like also live vicariously through people doing these adventures. You get to kind of also, in a way, I always look at it like you kind of get to preview a place before you decide you want to go there. You can kind of like, well, they went to this and they didn't look all that fun, so maybe we won't go there. So it kind of saves us money sometimes, or vice versa. I'd be like, oh yeah, they definitely sold me on that place.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
definitely
get to see the good, bad, and ugly without actually having to go through the bad and ugly,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I cannot wait for sure. And like I said, I really do, and I hope that while you're traveling, that you have safe journeys, of course, and everything like that. We
Well, thank
always
you.
want to make sure that you stay in the family and you stay here. We don't want anything happen, but nothing but good things. So, and we all are going to look forward to seeing your videos on that. So this is an amazing live stream, very awesome interview with Josh from Southern Afterlife. Well, thank you, Sweet Pea. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Again, we try to do good here. We try to ask a lot of the hard hitting stuff.
Josh, are you heading up the East Coast anytime soon?
We may. It's kind of up in the air right now. My wife and I are actually going to Mexico here in June, I believe. So our kids are going to be staying with our family in Florida. So that's the whole basis of this trip. And then once we come back, July is really busy. So it probably won't be till August, September before we actually start going somewhere.
Okay.
And we're not sure if we're going to head west or northeast. Because I do have a lot of family northeast, and I think it'd be cool to see Salem, Massachusetts. And
Well, the reason I say is because I'm assuming you have a diesel pulling this trailer.
I don't. I have it's a Chevy 2500, but it's a 6.0 gas.
Okay.
So,
Well, they're expecting in the next week or two to be a diesel shortage along the East Coast that is going to be really bad. Essentially, supply trucks aren't going to be able to supply because they don't have any diesel to supply. So it's going to be one of these things where wouldn't want you to get up in that region and then can't go anywhere because there's no diesel.
good to know.
It's one of these things where kind of have to make sure that you're not going to be you're stuck somewhere where you don't want to be. So
Yeah, I appreciate that insight because that's one of the the things about traveling. You're pulling your house, and if you get stuck somewhere with no fuel, I mean you're that's it. You have nowhere to go. So
yeah.
Well, you have somewhere to stay, though. You have somewhere to stay at least.
yeah, just pop the slides out and camp out.
Sweet Pea did say also too that you need to come to Michigan with her and Lakeshore Paranormal. Of course, I was gonna say I would imagine Lakeshore is probably going to be possibly Michigan. I grew up in south of Detroit, so I knew a lot of Lakeshore. Obviously the Great Lakes. But David Hale says hi, Josh. I'm assuming you because he's a mod. He's a mod for you, I guess.
Yes.
So that's
hey,
good.
David.
Yeah, it says tell Josh I'm here, which we just did, obviously. Amazing beaches up here. I mean, I will say Michigan, they do have some amazing beaches in a way, but I will say I'm a little biased. I did grow up in Michigan, but what I say is I also lived in Florida on the Gulf Coast for many years, and I gotta say that Destin, like Fort Walton Beach, like though the Emerald Coast, man, it's kind of hard when you go back to Michigan. You're just like, yeah, that's just me. Sorry, no offense. Love you guys. I'm glad you're here, but I'm just saying. But yes, to my Michigan folks, I grew up like here. We all know what that means when you hold up the hand. Yeah, I grew up like here. All right, so and I used to also spend some time over here, Ludington area with the big dunes and all that. So, and then we also could go down to Chicago. I mean, not there. Like over here. Chicago area, right? And go hang out the Sears Tower back in my day, like old person town.
Yeah, I would like to come to Michigan at some point. It would be awesome.
It is pretty country, though. It really is. Just stay away from Detroit.
Yeah.
Stay away from Detroit. Other than that, there's a lot of, and like, especially if you go, like, if you can plan, like, say even next year, like, if you plan on going, like, you want to plan your trip when, like, all the orchards are starting to, like, the apple and cherry orchards and stuff, because they have, like, a ton of them up there, like, and they have some amazing, like, fresh apples and cherries and stuff. Like, some of their orchards, like, you can go there, and it's insane, and really good stuff. I'm from Grand Haven. Yeah, it's a small tourist town, nice place. I'm from Texas, just live in Michigan. Yeah. That's cool, man. So but it's cool that you're going to get to do some traveling, and that's definitely something I really want to see and do more of myself, and that's why I'm really trying to push for all the filming, the shows, and the YouTube stuff is just so we can also enjoy that kind of mobile life and also that tennis, because since our son needs to travel for tennis, it's like, hey, I can drive to a tournament and do some filming later that night, so
Yeah.
or Rome, Georgia, or wherever, so
Well, the biggest thing for me is, I was taking week-long trips, and they're exhausting because you get to a location, you film, you pass out, you wake up, you drive to the next location, and it's wash, rinse, repeat. And by the time you get home, you're completely exhausted. You can't remember half the things you actually did on your trip, and you spent a week away from your family.
yeah.
And you're trying to cram all this into like 4 or 5 days. So now it'll be like, yeah, I can travel to this location, stay there for a month, and film all the interesting things and actually take the time to research history on everything that I'll be filming.
And come home to your
So,
family every night.
You're going to
Yeah.
have to make sure that wherever you're at, you're actually telling people where you're at,
Right.
in the videos. Because a lot of the videos, I've noticed that you almost assume that people know that where you're at is in Tennessee or in the mountains somewhere. And I'm like, where is he now? And I'm trying to figure out exactly which video you're at, what location, and all of that. And it's I know you don't want to give away a lot of everything, but just knowing where these hotspots are would be fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the biggest problem, to being 100% honest, is vandalism. Like John and I, we filmed Elkmont a few times. Elkmont's pretty well known. It's here in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And the last time we went back, there was spray paint in some of the brand new, just remodeled cabins and stuff. Like they restored these cabins, and people are already tagging them. And I've seen it time and time again where we film at a location and we go back for a second shoot, and windows are broken or there's spray paint in places. So I really strayed away from giving exact locations, but I will try to, East Tennessee, like give a region or something.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's hard to remember everything as you're doing your intros. You're lugging equipment around, you're holding the camera, and you're trying not to die.
Right.
Because you got wild animals and crazy people and stuff. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes that viewers don't realize. So I will work on trying to explain where I'm at a little more, but it's not as easy as just doing it.
Yeah. And I do want to say too, hi Matt. He popped in here, paranormal consultant. It's good to see you, David Hale. Just to let you know, don't worry, buddy. We got you covered. He said that to sub, to make sure to sub to Southern Afterlife. Of course, we already took care of that, David, for sure. Trust me.
Yep.
Look, we definitely plugged everything for Josh, so no worries. We're always gonna support Josh in that sense. Josh has awesome paranormal. Yes, he's like selling you. See, he's like in that mindset. He's like your mod. He's like selling. He's like, hey, go check out the. Trust me, bro. We got your back. We got your back. You can actually. You don't even have to work tonight, so you don't have to do the mod thing. David, you can just kick back and enjoy the show. So no worries, David. You're all good, buddy. You're all good. You're awesome. So other than that, let's see.
We don't believe a single thing he said about you. David. All the things he said about you, we just do not believe.
Right. Yeah. Don't watch the beginning though. You don't want to know what he said then about you. No, but no, seriously. Okay. What else? There seemed like there was something else I had thought. Oh, I know what there was. So one thing too is, I know like now since you create a lot of your own equipment, I know that they are kind of like your babies now, right? But I gotta ask, what's one of your favorite pieces of equipment? Like if you pretty much went to an investigation and you could only take like one piece of equipment, what would that be?
My dimension portal.
Okay.
Yep. It's 3 tools in one basically, and it's amazing. And I
Okay.
get awesome responses through it. And I've told you I've had conversations with spirit friends, I call them, and it's all been through the dimension portal.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it is. It's a cool piece of equipment. And seeing it in person and experiencing it, I can vouch for that now. So,
Yeah,
uh, but yes, guys, again, if you showed up, all of you that are showing up late, that's fine. You can always go back and watch the replay. We asked a lot of great questions earlier. So if you really want to know we asked questions like, hey, what's something that people don't know about you? Or surprised to learn about you. We've asked about the scariest locations, funny locations, all kinds of fun stuff. So go back, watch the video. And again, for those of you that don't know, Josh is also going to be guest starring on one of the episodes of my original show, which airs on Paraflix, which is a streaming platform. The name of the show is called Para Explorers. He's going to be coming up on an episode of that real soon. I'm really proud of that episode. I can't wait till everything's done. That'll be debuting coming up in June. So make sure you guys get Paraflix. If you don't know what Paraflix is, I'm telling you. Or I've got to take 1 second out right here. Paranormal Underground Magazine. If you do not know about Paranormal Underground Magazine, go to their website. I believe it's like I think it's Paranormal Underground. Hold on, I can think of it right here. ParanormalUnderground.net. Okay, go to the website and get a subscription to the magazine. All right, and just tell them, say, hey, Josh from the Everything Paranormal Show, not Southern Afterlife, but you could probably even say Josh from Southern Afterlife. But just say Josh sent me here, and you will get free episodes in your email, or not episodes, but magazines. These are fully illustrated, color. They're a good magazine. They've got good writers, good articles. So you want to have some good paranormal stories, educational stuff, editorials, all that stuff. Go get you that subscription to Paranormal Underground Magazine. It's free. It's free for a year for sure, minimally. You don't have to give them a credit card, none of that. Just go there and tell them I sent you, and you're going to get that. So, Josh, I don't know if you have Paranormal Underground Magazine, but I'm telling you, it shows up in your email on the first of every month. It's awesome. I have never graced the cover of the magazine yet. They asked me to do it like 2 years ago, but I wanted to wait. I wanted to get more of and now that the Para Explorers has started, I'm gonna wait. So one of these days, though, I'm gonna grace the cover. I'll be on there, and who knows, maybe we can get you on the cover. So get you a feature article. So
awesome.
if you guys want to see Josh in Paranormal Underground Magazine, click like and subscribe on my channel. Just let's see how many we get. No, I'm just kidding. No, but just let us know. But we'll work on that. I'll talk to Cheryl Knight. She's the owner. We'll see if we can get you a feature in Paranormal Underground Magazine.
That'd be awesome.
So let's see what else we got. Yeah, sign up for both and love them. Yeah, and if you do need Paraflix, like I said in the comments below, Para Explorers 10 is the promo code. It'll get you 10% off for 3 months. That's PARAXPLOREZ 10. Para Explorers 10.
Yeah. If you know what Paraflix actually is, it's a streaming service, yes, but it's closer to resembles of Netflix. There's a lot of, if you are a nut for watching, all of these paranormal shows, you can't wait for A&E to come out with a new show or whatever it is. They have them all over on that's all it is on Paraflix. Show after show after show. Some of them are fiction, but a lot of them are not. They're just like what, Josh is, both of them, actually do. They go out in the field and they do investigations and things like that kind of, and they've all got their own, angle to it. It's really, really cool. And it's a community unto itself. So, go out to Paraflix, sign up. It's really cheap, and it's a hell of a lot better than Netflix these days, where they're really confused on genders. But, they don't have that in this. So,
Now, that's yeah, and Stacey's right. That's awesome. So, guys, again, we gave you a ton of stuff to go check out. Hopefully, you'll do that. But I want to ask Josh something else as well before, as we start getting toward this back end of the show. So, for those of you, if anybody's watching and you guys have any last minute questions that you want to ask Josh, again, maybe you missed some earlier and you're not sure, but if you have any questions that you want to ask them, again, feel free. This is the show. I've always said this is the show you can participate in. So if you guys have any questions, I know Lakeshore Paranormal asked one earlier. We had a statement from Lucretia earlier about ghosts, following around. So if you guys want to start getting those last minute questions in, go ahead and get those in. Josh, my question as well that I wanted to ask you is, now I'll use myself as an example. There's rarely a time when I actually get scared, believe it or not. Most people are like, oh, do you get scared out there? Most paranormal, I don't know. There's like when you go on some investigations, I mean, yes, there's those moments, it's tense and things like that. But usually it's like I'm always still feel fairly safe. But there has been some times. So I'm going to ask you, was there a time, and can you tell us about it? Was there a time when you actually got pretty scared?
Yes. There was actually two times, but I'll explain one of them first. I was at the psychic capital, Casadega, and it's Casadega, Florida, and it's a psychic camp, and it's really strange. I mean, I love the town, but you are not allowed to wander around after sunset. So, being the rebel that I am, I snuck out. We got a porch facing hotel room, so we can walk outside from our room. And we were going through these trails, and we heard chanting, and it was really bizarre. And my friend that was with me, he's actually an eclectic witch, so he does like mostly healing stuff and protection. And he's like, that sounds satanic. And we're like, okay. So we cut all lights and we kept pushing on through this trail. And on the other side of the trees was actually this park. And it's like their sacred lake and everything for the town. Well, whatever was going on was happening right on the other side of the trees. And I don't remember what set everything off, but there was a noise or something. And next thing I know, all these people that were chanting on the other side of the bushes are now chasing us through the woods with flashlights. So that was one of the scariest parts that I've ever experienced. But I wouldn't say it's so much spiritual things that scare me because I'm so well grounded. It's mostly like people and running into the physical dangers, not so much the spiritual dangers.
Yeah,
That
and I wholeheartedly agree. Is that most of the time when I feel threatened, or scared, it's for the living. It's something from the living side of things versus spiritual side. So I get it for sure.
Yeah. The only spiritual one that has really affected me was when I did my alone at the Krista Pike ritual site. That video, I mean, the bowl where she conjured things is still there. So I was there by myself. It's in the middle of the woods. I mean, nobody can hear you if you get into trouble. So it was kind of dumb, but it's like I'm glad I did it. It's one of those weird like milestones that, those internal milestones that you have. But like things were happening all around me, and I knew it. Like they can't harm me, they can't touch me because I grounded myself, I protected myself. Like I took all the precautions. But still knowing that evil existed around you is quite unnerving.
Why didn't the police take that bowl? I mean, in crime scene stuff, they tear up carpet and wallpaper and all kinds of things to take as evidence. How come they didn't take that?
Because it's not the crime scene. The Well, as far as I know, I mean, there was like a weird table or something there. I don't know exactly what they did for their rituals, what kind of sacrifices and such they did. But the crime that she committed was actually on the college campus, which is nowhere near where she did her rituals. So the reason why she had this ritual site is because her boyfriend, I believe it was, didn't live too far from it. So she'd go over there and then they go out into the woods to this abandoned building and do their rituals.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. For those of you that, if you haven't seen the video, you need to go check it out. I watched some of it and then I had to stop watching. And I plan, though, it's in my go back list, my save videos. But I'm going to go finish watching that. But I started watching that. But if you want to see, it's that Crystal Pike video. Go check that out for sure. You're going to want to watch that. Has there ever been a location that was proposed to you and you're just like, have you ever not wanted to go somewhere, like, or have you just been like, hell yeah, let's go?
Normally I'm down to ride, like, well, let's
Right.
do it. No matter what it is. There was a hospital that I did in Florida, and it was in a really rough neighborhood, and that was probably the only one that I was really on the fence about, just because of the neighborhood that's around it. I mean,
Right.
the buildings are never actually abandoned. They're always, you either got animals, homeless people, or people that don't want to be found living in them. So
Right.
for it to be right in the heart of all the above, it was quite unnerving to, bring that idea up and then actually go through with it.
Yeah. And I don't think people, it's hard to get that to people that watch like Urban Explorer style, paranormal videos or even just Urban Explorer videos. It's hard to show that to people, is the feeling you get when you go or when you're going to go into these abandoned buildings, because going in there, there's a high chance that there is transients or homeless, and some of these people, they're, if you're the kind of person that just kind of lives through the TV screen, let me just tell you, the homeless people are not just what you may think they are. There's a lot of people that are homeless because they have mental problems. They have some mental disorders, and they can get very possessive and they can lose their shit right there. And so it can be very scary, again, to be in those situations. So I just wanted to let people know what.
There's an epidemic of mental illness in this country because we don't treat it in a medical sense anymore. I mean, right now it's pretty much you're on your own or you're self-medicating for the most part. Even Obamacare doesn't cover a lot of that stuff. And they did a survey. I think they found that 58% of white liberal women had a mental illness, and that's a huge swath of the population. Though, in their defense, 30% probably used to be men, but that is still a huge swath of the population that is dealing with mental illness.
Yeah.
Imagine on the full spectrum, the far spectrum, people who just can't in society. They're living in these abandoned buildings.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to that point we made earlier that Josh was talking about, with the fact that sometimes the living is scarier than the dead.
Yeah, for sure.
With the dead, if you've been involved in paranormal, you pretty much know the rules. Like, what the dead pretty much can and can't do, and if you're grounded and you have your protections and things like that, you're good, for the most part. So it's the living, again, that you got to look out for, the ones with maybe weapons or, again, ready to defend their territory. I mean, this is their home. And then you get some asshole coming through there with a couple $1,000s worth of camera gear, like, oh, look. That's, for us, we're like, oh my God. For them, they're just like, oh my God, but, so yes, look, you guys definitely got, and I wanted to make a point too that Josh brought up. Don't be a dick. Don't go out there and spray paint stuff when you see these locations, things like that. Don't go out there and be like, oh man, Josh was here. Me, that Josh, or anybody, John, anybody that you guys watch. Don't go out to these places and just be like, oh, I'm going to spray paint a penis on the wall, woo, and do all this. Oh, we're going to let's do a pinnacle or something, let's stop. Don't be a dick, don't deface the
They're
problem.
not even doing that. I saw the tagging that you were talking about. They're just drawing gibberish. They're not even symbols. Yeah. They're just, squiggly stuff. It's like no one knows what that is anyway, so no one cares that this is your tag because no one's going to know that this thing is yours. So all you're doing is just shitting on the walls. Stop it.
I mean, for all you actual graffiti artists out there that do go to the abandoned locations, and like I saw a phenomenal one that was Mr. Magoo, and it was at the Aerojet Dave. Like I just did a daytime explore. It's an old rocket facility, but like all the walls that are still standing are just murals, and they're absolutely amazing. For all you that actually do the actual art, I appreciate that. But for everybody else that goes around and just spray paints scribbles and initials and weird symbols that don't mean anything, on these historical locations, that's what really bothers me.
Yeah. And I've seen the good ones like you're talking about, the murals, and I've seen like some of the good murals, and then some asshole does something on top of the mural. It's like, really? Like, how can you be that I mean, I would think even there'd be like honor among the graffiti artists, like, at least like be like, oh, this is cool. I'll go paint my ding dong over here, on this, but whatever. People be people. And so in any case, but guys, we're going to kind of wrap everything up. And, I just want to say again, folks, Josh, Southern Afterlife, if you haven't subbed and you've watched all this and you haven't subbed by now, what the hell's wrong with you? Go run over to his channel right now. You don't even have to finish watching this video because we're about done. Go click on subscribe. Hit his notification bell too. That way he does like lives and stuff, things like that. And he's going to be coming out with his new stuff on another channel, like with his RV life, with his family, like his family adventures. That's going to be cool. So, guys, if you haven't checked it out, and I'm trying to talk him into a book, so who knows? Maybe we can get him announcing a book release someday while he's on the road. He can write some of this stuff to pass the time, and then release his book internationally on Amazon. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
So,
we're the sequel to Mothman Prophecies or something. That would be cool.
Guys, we're going to work on it. We're going to work on getting Josh to write a book. All right. So, but guys, and again, and you guys know where I'm at right here every Thursday night, some kind of live. And if it's not live with me and Stacey, sometimes I go live out in the field sometimes. So trying to get Josh to come out my way again, do some more filming before he takes off on his RV adventures. And when he gets back, I got some plans. So hopefully you guys are going to see some really cool stuff from us, from Josh, from myself. If you go watch the show, there's just so much we got going on. I'm telling you, like, this is like Tennessee. We got some amazing stuff between Exploration Unknown, between Southern Afterlife, the Everything Paranormal Show / Para Explorers, and even Black Mass Paranormal. I'm giving a shout out to Brian and his channel. We're like becoming this Tennessee mafia. We got the Florida boys down there, right? All the Florida crew, all down there. Well, we're starting to amass this Tennessee crew. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Josh? I mean, we're starting to really get this nexus going on, and it's starting to grow. So we've got some Appalachian boys up here, even though we're all from different areas. I'm from Florida. Right. We're here now. We're here now in Tennessee. So yes, and my wife said, Josh, it was truly a pleasure meeting you. You are a very grounded and wholesome soul. Hope to see you soon. So that's awesome. Sweet Pea says, yes, Josh, write a book. See? Write a book, and good luck with your trips. Safe travels for you always, David Haley. Yes. I have a lot of ding dong. Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. I think actually it was like John from Exploration Unknown. I think he said it best when he said something like, mankind will travel the greatest heights or whatever to spray paint a ding dong and whatever. So it was just funny the way I wish I had that exact phrase of how he worded it when he said it to me that day. It was so funny.
And it's not something that's unique to this time. They're doing excavations in Rome, and they're finding that the Masons back then were drawing ding dongs on the stuff that they were doing, in the sewer system. Ancient Rome, like 2,000 years ago, they come across some guy with his, ding dong, and it's like, man, it's not
a new thing
at all.
Boys will be boys, like over the years, all through. There should just be like this film of just like the cavemen, like doing these cool little cave paintings. All of a sudden, it turns into like this, dick and balls on the thing. And then you just see like the next, evolution or something, like it's just like a montage of, I don't know. My mind I'm already filming in my mind a comedy skit. Anyways. All right, guys, I've had so much fun, guys. The show's been almost an hour and a half. So I hope you guys got to learn a lot of extra stuff about Josh from Southern Afterlife. Folks, again, it's been such a great show. Remember, we do this every Thursday night live at 9 p.m. And I'm sure Josh will come back on here in the future. So we'll have him back on, I'm sure. But, guys, remember, we do this every Thursday night. And we'll see you in the next. We'll see you all in the next episode. And remember, seek the truth.
Peace.